I think there is a real chance that today we lived in a world that saw more technological advancements, better healthcare, more vaccines and cures to diseases, and a better understanding of the social sciences. But because women throughout history have been blocked from the professions of their dreams and attempted to be shoehorned back into the household where many of them simply are not at home, we lost out on all the progress we could have had. And according to the Pew Research Center, scientific professions are still made up of more than 2/3 male employees. Additionally, women suffer from twice as high rates of unipolar depression as men. And additionally, according to that, women suffer from mental illnesses at a rate of 1 in 3 instead of the 1 in 5 for the general population. So women in our society are suffering. But time and time again, in the news, in conversations, and in the New York Times, I read the words, "Women are already equal and they are fighting to be better." But women have made great leaps and bounds since the 1920s and the time of the suffragettes. They've secured the right to vote, the right to more bodily autonomy, and become an integral part of the workforce. So we do have to ask today's question. Are the suffragettes of 1920 still suffering in 2020? And we'll attempt to understand the answer through the new faces that old ideas put on, the ever-presence of harmful ideas in our society, and the way that these harmful ideas can undercut progress made in the law. So first, we have to look to the differences between a newspaper in 1920 and a newspaper today. Now, first, you'll see a lot less of two things: mafia members with submachine guns and editorials outright bashing women. As a 1898 editorial in the New York Times stated, women are emotional, undependable, and unreliable. Now today, this kind of outright criticism and sexism would be seen as gross by our society, but these ideas are not gone. Instead, they have simply put on new masks, taken new phrasings that allow sexism and discrimination to continue in our society. For example, in a 1901 editorial in the Washington Post, it was written that women, because they can influence the members of their household, are already more powerful than men and should not attempt to secure the right to vote. In 1929, when the suffragette movement was ongoing, it was written that women would get their rights in due time and so should not, quote, undignifiedly struggle for the rights that they are promised. And finally today, in that editorial I read 2 weeks ago, it was written that women are already equal and so should stop struggling to be better. Now these all are rephrasings of the same idea. These all are rephrasings of the idea that women should sit passively by and let things happen to them instead of seizing their dreams and their rights as our society promises them the chance to. But every time it springs up, it is cut down and then springs up again because we don't recognize these things for what they are. Simply rephrasings of the same outdated, misogynistic ideas that have been plaguing our society for centuries. And the new forms of these ideas are still incredibly present, because all around us we can see examples of these things. For example, everyone I've met at some point in their lives has heard it said, if outright by the Weinsteins and Trumps of our society, or more subtly by the media, corporate advertising, or even the people in their lives, that women should second-guess their actions and thoughts, and that women's struggle for bodily autonomy and sexual freedom is not only morally wrong, but a disgrace to our society. Now, the ever-presence of these ideas is extremely harmful, because even if we don't agree with it, it can certainly normalize them in the minds of the people of the United States. Because we can see that when women are exposed to these ideas all around them, it certainly not only drives many of the men exposed to them to commit violent and misogynistic actions that we all frown upon, but also sow doubt in the hearts of the women we are trying to uplift. So even when we dismiss these ideas, for our society to be truly equal, we have to eliminate them from our culture and allow women a fair shot at not only equal opportunity, but equal competence and a fair chance to grow to be the same thing men can. And finally, the ever-presence of these ideas has another effect. It can undercut the progress under the law we have made. Because while women are closer than ever to securing equality under the law, we've all heard the statistic, women earn 74 to 80 cents for every dollar a man earns in the United States. But setting those wages is not the federal government or Congress, it is the people. The bosses and corporate wage setters that are stealing wages from these women are doing so because of their own bias, not because of an inadequacy in the law. Here's another example. In courts in the United States, less than half of all rape, sexual assault, and harassment trials find a guilty verdict because the people finding that verdict, the members of the jury, are people in our society that have been exposed to these misogynistic and harmful views. So because of the inherent bias in our society, the progress we've made under the law has been undercut, and it's harder for us to achieve true equality. And so I hope that I've shown through the new masks old ideas put on, the way that these ever-present ideas, even when not believed, can strip confidence and sow misogyny in our society, and the way that that stripped confidence and sown misogyny can harm people all around us and create the wage gap and strip women of their justice in court that the suffragists of 1920 are still suffering in 2020. But we have made great leaps and bounds, and through the work of activists, feminists, and protesters in our society, there is hope that by 2120, the suffering will end. Thank you.